Amazing, man. We killed it. And I think, I don't know, I think people, they had low expectations for us and definitely for your boy. It was good to get back in there and have a good showing. The audience went nuts. We had great reactions on both sides. And I mean, the British kids killed it too. And it's a new ball game for them. You know, it's their first international joint. So I was really happy that they were able to come out and get a good response in the first round, and even happier that we got a better response. You know what I mean? But I think it was a good battle on both sides. We were there to lighten the mood. I think they needed us, man. They probably needed us later, but you know, we wouldn't have been able to battle if that was the case. But yeah, a lot of really bar-heavy battles, a lot of really, you know, angry battles where there was animosity built up amongst the players. But we were there to lighten the mood for sure. And that's kind of why I took the battle in the first place, because I've been doing this for years, and I took 8 or 9 months off just focusing on doing an album and going on tour. And coming back, I didn't want to jump back into some crazy aggressive, you know, for my career match. I wanted to do something that reminded me why I do this in the first place, you know what I mean? Yeah, I was on tour and with Kung Fu, and tour was getting towards the end, and I was like, what am I gonna do, you know? Kind of, you have that moment about 2 weeks before everything's over, you're like, I gotta get the ball rolling on the next thing. And I'd been wanting to battle the British kids for a while, Shuffle T and Marlo. They're the 2-on-2 champs over there. Super entertaining. I like what they bring to the table. So, and I saw that as an opportunity to do a fun battle. And Caustic is kind of naturally the person I team up with, because we do the podcast together, and he lives in the Bay Area. We kick it all the time, you know what I mean? When I did the 2-on-2s with Madness back in the day, he lived in San Jose and we kicked it all the time. When we did the SoulCons one back in the day, he lived in New York and it was really hard. So we would just freestyle most of the time. But this was kind of my first opportunity to do a 2-on-2 and write like really closely with the person I was working with. And I hit up Caustic first and said, do you want to do it? And he's like, yeah. And then I hit up the British kids and they said, yeah. And then I hit up Lush, and within like an hour sitting in a hotel in like Fort Collins, Colorado, the whole thing just got together. I think especially Shuffle T and Marlo, like, because they're not like trying to emulate the American style at all. They're coming in with their own kind of like dry British humor. They're like, they'll say they're not rappers, you know what I mean? They're like actors, you know what I mean? And they totally, like, their style lends itself to a very big performance. And that's tight. I think it's great for battling as a whole. I don't think it could be, you know, Math Hoffa and Disaster all the time. I don't think it should be a crazy, angry, tense thing all the time. I think there's a place for that for sure. I mean, that's battle rap, right? It's always gonna have the competitive element. And believe me, like, me and Caustic wanted to win. The British kids wanted to win. So that element is there. But you know, if you don't introduce those kind of characters into the mix, then, you know, it's just really one lane, you know? And battle rap is not one lane. It's different all over the world, you know? So I think that's what it needs, more kids like that to come in and say, hey, I'm here, I represent this region of the world, and I'm doing my own thing, you know? And I think Don't Flop is their own little microcosm, you know what I mean? So it's not surprising to me that people outside of the UK are not like big up on that. And I think it's in a lot of ways, it's like King of the Dot is in Canada, because everybody in Canada knows about it. And then across the United States, depending on like what region you're talking to, the Smack fans are gonna be aware, but they're gonna be watching Smack more, watching UW more. And you know, towards the West Coast, because King of the Dot kind of adopted the Fresh Coast region, we are definitely totally up on game with all the King of the Dot stuff. I think Don't Flop, like, they're really like a hip, cool thing in the UK, you know what I mean? And you see people like people who are on Big Brother in the UK and people who are, you know, in the underground industry in the UK, hip hop artists that we may not be up on, but they're big on over there. They're showing up to the Don't Flop events just like, you know, Absol's showing up to King of the Dots.